Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the first Sip and Pitch Friday of 2024. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jessie Grieve Carlson. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I work at NGLCC as the Associate Director of External Affairs and Affiliate Relations. We're going to have an awesome program today, and we're joined by three fantastic judges. If you don't mind going to the next slide for me, and I can introduce them. Thank you so much. Today, we're joined by Deborah Quade, Supplier Diversity Manager at Kellanova, as well as Ernie Flores, Supplier Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Kaiser Permanente, and Jill Patrick, Supplier Diversity Manager at AARP. Our judges today will be giving constructive feedback, to our presenters. We have a few guidelines to share with you all and a little explanation of how the event goes. So we have two presenters today. Unfortunately, our third presenter had to back out at the last minute, but that's okay. We're still going to have a fun time. Each company has 5 minutes to present their pitch. There's going to be one person from each participating company. Following that presentation, our judges will have 10 minutes for feedback and a question and answer session. If our presenters don't have a formal presentation or slideshow, not a problem at all. This is designed to be informal and provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. If you're not speaking, please mute your microphone. I'm going to be our timer today, which means there's going to be a little timer that pops up on the screen. You can see it now, this little 5-minute timer. So that will pop up while the presenter is pitching. And I'm going to unmute myself at both 60 seconds and 30 seconds to let you know how much time you have left. Lastly, this is a judgment-free zone. This is a fun event to support one another. It's designed to help you enhance your pitch, grow your company, meet new people, and all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration and have fun. So with that, we can just jump right into it with our first presentation. If you could move to the next slide, please. Awesome. Feel Swell Experiences. Are you ready to go, Keely?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So you should have screen sharing capacities if you have a presentation. Yes. Lily, if you could end, perfect.
There we go. Okay. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, take your time.
I have that open. Let's see here. Share. Okay, I don't see it. Okay, here it is. And let me just put it into the view mode. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay? I'm gonna move this over here for a second.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna
and you can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Everyone can see me, hear me okay? We're good? All right, I'm ready to get started. My name is Keely. Thank you so much for being here today. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the founder of Feel Swell Experiences, and we're a holistic leadership, development, and consulting company for the future of work. Let me tell you about a problem that maybe you've seen in the news. Everyone thinks Gen Z is lazy. We're the most studied but most misunderstood generation. Gen Z is a pool of exceptional talent, but they are so disengaged from the traditional workplace due to toxic cultures and a lack of connection with their managers. 50% of Gen Z is actually eager to start their own ventures, and companies not only risk survival, but also miss out on tapping into the innovative minds that are really shaping the future. Here's why I know this, because I'm a Gen Z person. I was offered a manager position in 2020 when I was a senior in college, and I said no because I was driving to work 3 hours one way. I was burnt out, my eyes were bloodshot, I was ruining my relationships, And my partner and I, we came together, and you can see here in the bottom hand corner, I declined the job that they offered me. We came together and we started questioning, why is it that we're doing what we're doing? What does it mean to have relationships and live a life that you love? What does it mean to be in an environment that supports you? And then we thought about our younger selves, and we watched our parents, our Gen X and Boomer parents, completely burn out. So we came together. I became a somatic therapist as we started on our own healing journeys. My partner, she became a certified life coach, and we launched our business and we started helping thousands of individuals around the world. It was like overnight, we had the ability to tap into a large community that resonated. This was all amazing. We did events, retreats, programs all around the world. But guess what happened? We realized there was still one problem, and it was that people were getting better in their personal lives, but they were still really struggling in their professional lives. And so we knew we had to look and go to the holistic route where they were spending most of their time at work. So we see Gen Z, they value connection, flexibility, well-being. But why aren't these enough? These lunch and learns, these fitness challenges, these escape rooms, why is it that Gen Z is not engaged? Why is it that companies can't retain them? Well, we looked at it and we saw there's really a Band-Aid that's happening here. We're throwing in all these different solutions, but here's the solution. We've got to create integrative leaders. We've got to look at what the needs are, how times are changing, how we were disrupted socially during the pandemic, how we didn't finish our education like many others did, and really focus on personal growth and creating this connection, because after all, 50% leave their jobs to get away from their managers. And I know that if I had a manager that was supporting me and was connected, I probably would have stayed. Here's our approach. We're taking Gen Z insight on emotional intelligence, mindfulness, resilience, and empathy. And we're looking at the practices that you implement every single day, and not just doing a one-size-fits-all approach, but looking at the diverse needs of your team. What do they need? How do the one-on-one meetings need to be different? We're building a supportive workplace environment, not just throwing up those one-off escape rooms, but really creating connection points that make a difference. Our process: research, consulting, implementation. We look at assessments to look at your challenges, your strengths, and growth opportunities for your managers and how they can connect with Gen Z better. We create strategies that aren't just short-term, but really long-term, and then implement these workshops that bridge the gap between generations. It's a real hands-on approach. How do we track success? You can see it here, but one of my favorites is the field research. Over creating our business, we had the ability to create a platform over 200,000 individuals, mostly comprised of millennials and Gen Z. And we see them as friends, not just research subjects. So we get real insight based upon what they want. Here's the vision. You can see it here. But the truth is that Gen Z is so innovative. We are the most digitally native and globally connected generation. We see things differently. We think differently. And companies that invest in innovation, they saw a 30% increase in their annual growth rate. So when we look at that, we can provide more opportunities for Gen Z to connect and thousands of new jobs, boosting ROI, because companies have that competitive advantage when they bring us alongside, when they invest in us, when they care about our well-being, when they connect to the needs of where the future of work is headed. So
30
why now?
seconds left.
You can see here that it cost $225,000 to replace an employee. That's a really high rate, especially when you're bringing these new people in. Our clients, they really love that we've got this energetic, new, exciting perspective. And they love that they can say to their Gen Z employees that they're bringing on, hey, we're actually investing in you already before you've even gotten started here. Here's my partner and I. I'm Gen Z, she's millennial. We're both certified somatic therapists. She's a life coach. And the last slide here, you can contact us if you're interested in making an impact to create a feel swell culture. Thank you.
That was amazing, Keely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, do I stop the share?
Yeah, you can stop the share, and then I'm going to pass it over to our judges. And why don't we have Deborah go first?
Thank you. Keely, what a great way to start off our Friday. Your energy is just contagious. I mean, we could all feel your enthusiasm. And I would just like to say you're really good at telling your story. And that's increasingly important. It's obviously resonates with Gen Z, but I think what we've discovered is that people everywhere like to hear founders' stories or how did businesses get created. So you're doing a really, great job on that. And I think the other thing is you started out right away differentiating yourself because in my role as supplier diversity manager, we meet a lot of people that are in consulting, that are giving advice for employee retention and attraction and things. But right away, you came in with a different type of value proposition. And I think that was really strong, and I think it's effective, and it definitely differentiates you. And you were mentioning you have a big conference coming up in a couple of weeks. Keep with that. Make sure that everyone understands why you're different, that you're not like other companies in that space. Um, One thing that I was wondering about was, we saw the pictures of the cruise ship. You had mentioned that earlier on the call. How are you marketing the company right now? What's your growth projection, and how are you looking at next phases and growth?
Yeah, that's a great question. Also, thank you so much for all your feedback. I really appreciate it. I came in as a Gen Z person and I thought people may look at me and go, "What do you know?" Right? So, really connecting our generation and our needs, I think that's very important and we can all learn from each other. So, thank you for that. What the future looks like. Wow, we are in person a lot. You know what? Do you know Gen Z is the loneliest generation? I've been out there in person with Sherm at HR meetings, really talking to the HR community and understanding what they're seeing, understanding what the problems are. And really, it's just getting out there. I'm on the committee for DEIB for the local chapter of Sherm here in San Diego. And just continuing to speak and educate people on what's actually happening because we're hearing from the individuals where Gen Z really is, right? They're telling us they know, like, and trust us. And so sharing that with companies that are looking to hire that they may not be directly telling them what's happening is very important. So the growth looks like continuing to go to these events, continuing to build out these programs and show them that they're going to get value and a huge ROI from their Gen Z employees.
I guess my final comment would be we kind of ran out of time. You don't have a lot of time to share the slide that had your corporate customers, but anecdotally, like if you're at a trade show booth or you're meeting with someone at a meeting, if you can work in one of those customer satisfaction stories. I worked with a large retailer, and this is how they identified the problem, and I had a solution for it, because that also resonates with corporate employees is what's a real life success story, something that I could take back to my team and say, this is the person that you would want to listen to. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Deborah. I'll pass it to Jill.
Keely, thank you so much for your energy. I really felt that you were convicted about, what your focus is. I wrote down a few notes and I just want to run through things that I really, really liked. You didn't read the slides. You told a story. And that was it made it engaging. And so I enjoyed that. Also, you have a clear target, Gen Z. You just cut to the chase. We're really only targeting, and our specialty is Gen Z. We don't do executive level, we're doing Gen Z. And so that's important to me because now I'm like, okay, what business unit is there an ERG that I have that, like, you made it easy to for me to understand your product or service. And so I really like that. I'll piggyback on what Deborah said. Case studies are key, and giving a live example of what the problem was, spending time on what the problem was. I did make a note that I didn't really, that at it took to 3 minutes. I'm sorry, you went 2 minutes before you actually said, what your value is. And so I would, I know you only had 5 minutes, but when you got to the heart of what you do and who you've impacted, that's the key message. And you do it well. You do that message well. Do you do in-person and virtual?
Yes, both.
Leadership. Okay. And you've had experience doing in-person and virtual? Your company?
Yes.
Okay. And are you going for more smaller businesses, medium, large? What do you anticipate with this? leadership development for Gen Z?
We've worked with small businesses, but we've also worked with companies, like Kroger, which is a very large organization. So it really just depends. And they're the ones that are focused on really hiring Gen Z, and we're working with those managers to help them connect better with them. So yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I think that's it. You did a great job. I mean, you have a great product, you know your space. And that's great, and come by our booth, say hi.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to meet you in person.
Thank you so much, Jill. And last but not least, Ernie.
Yeah, great job on your presentation as well. I'm glad that you had your certifications listed on your title slide, because that's important as well when you're presenting to certain groups, especially when supplier diversity is an important part of their overall agenda and mission. I will want to reiterate as well the case studies, and depending on your target audience, depending on who you're talking to, because you're going to get the stakeholders, you're going to get the sourcing people, and then you're going to get people like us who are in the supplier diversity world. This was great for us, but I always recommend that people have a few different versions of their deck, one for each target audience. And the case study would be applicable to kind of review here, but typically what I would suggest is putting an appendix in there with other things that you may want to relay. And that way, if you do send out the deck to your audience, they're able to kind of read up on some of those aspects of it as well. The other thing is you did list your customers, some of your clients in one of your later slides, but I would probably do something a little bit more focused on the industries that you've worked in, because it is applicable. I work in healthcare, and healthcare is very specific in terms of how we operate, what we need from our consulting, from any individual ones of our suppliers. So to know that somebody has healthcare experience when we're talking to them benefits them, in the long run. Also, and this is just from my personal standpoint, more so than a business or any sort of suggestions, because this is your company, you're running it the way you want, is just that Gen Z is not the only one experiencing some of these aspects. So you look at millennials, Gen X, they're also experiencing burnout, they're also experiencing toxic managers. And I would try to, even though your focus is on Gen Z, maybe try to list some of the benefits from the other generational groups.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much, Ernie.
Yeah. And I will be at WeBank too. We will have a booth, Kaiser Permanente. So
I'll definitely stop by.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm glad that you all get to connect virtually before WeBank's event. That's exciting. Keely, do you have any questions for our judges before we move on?
You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, one follow-up question for Ernie. Ernie, when you're a supplier diversity manager or professional looking at these decks, what is the specifics of what you're looking for? Because you're not an HR person, right? So what are you looking for to bring somebody in and connect with them?
So I'm looking at that, overall sort of like a value proposition. I'm looking for healthcare experience. That does matter a lot, depending on what you're doing. What you're doing isn't, and also kind of one thing that I usually ask when because we have office hours with new suppliers that we conduct every couple of weeks, where we kind of vet them, myself and then a colleague of mine who also is in a similar role, and we ask them I ask them at least, who's your typical target audience within a company, because that matters too. There may be individual groups that you can kind of work into that aren't maybe HR related, that just kind of want to do it for their team because they see the increase of Gen Z employees coming into their area. But I would say just kind of like who, and this isn't really something you put in your presentation, but you may want to mention it, that you typically would present to HR managers or DE&I professionals, or any sort of area there. But a lot of the things that we do look for are healthcare experience and relatable case studies to industry, not necessarily industries, but projects that we may be and problems we may be facing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's helpful.
Awesome. Keely, any other questions for our judges?
I think I'm good for right now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation.
you.
So next we're going to move to our second presenter, Rico Ricketson with MH3.
Hello. Let me share my screen. Can I share it now? Yes. And Keely and I know each other very well. We were on a conference at sea together. So you're going to get well-being super like double today. And Keely actually are working together where she becomes part of our network and we work together exclusively. So you may see us in spaces together a lot coming up. But so you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. And I'm going to set the timer up, but you can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rico Ricketson, and I'm the founder and CEO of MH3, Corporate Mental Health and Wellbeing of the Mind, Body, and Spirit. We are proud to be minority, disabled, and LGBT certified. Now, when it comes to unlocking workplace well-being, there are three primary challenges. The first is the economic impact of poor mental health, which is costing organizations approximately $1 trillion a year. The second is evolving expectations for effectiveness. And where that is really focused is on EAP programs. The purpose of EAP programs has always been to take individuals outside of a corporation to teach them skills. However, what happens is a vacuum is what about the skills for that manager, that leader, right? And dealing with that individual about bringing skills into the workplace. The third thing is broadening scope beyond clinical support. Now, due to the long-held stigma that exists with mental health, the prevalence of mental health stressors that we've all felt across all organization levels due to the pandemic and the historical health inequities that have impacted diverse populations, we have to broaden the scope to non-clinical interventions. Next slide, sorry. So who is MH3 and what do we do? So MH3, we partner with HR, procurement, and behavioral health leaders of Fortune 1000 and US government agencies to monitor, improve, and sustain the mental well-being of their employees, leaders, and communities they support. Now, MH3, our differentiator in the market is that we build health equity in mental well-being by fusing human insights from our network of 50+ diverse mental health and wellness experts with proprietary data-driven outcomes that lead to greater employee engagement, performance, collaboration, and leadership. Now, how we began is this is our founders, and if you look there on the right, it's my husband and co-founder, Zach Ricketson, and we're at NGLCC convention last year, actually, in that picture. But our why really began on March 15, 2020, as I saw the US news report on social distancing in Italy. I knew from my 21 years plus in life science marketing, my master's in neuroscience biology, that we did not have the solution to the problem that was headed our way. But it was my personal experience as a childhood survivor of domestic violence that drove the urgency to create this company now. And 4 years later, we now have clients such as CVS Health, Aetna, and Peapod Digital Labs. And actually, most notably, we received just recently the Rising Star of the Year award from CVS Health for all of our work with them in 2023. Now, it is not just Zach and myself. We actually have a C-suite team of 8 individuals, which include a chief mental health officer and a chief product officer. And actually, our chief product officer, Ro, is on the line. So hello, Ro. But how does our team come in and create transformation in your company? What we do is we have a 3-tier process for that. And that is diagnose, treat, and evolve. So in the diagnose stage, what we do is we use our proprietary mood and mental well-being platform with over 400 scientifically validated questions to provide actionable insights into how your team is feeling, which goes beyond mere survey results. In the treat, we then analyze the data with the expertise of 50+ diverse mental health and wellness experts, delivering a strategic action plan tailored to building a thriving workforce and resilient communities for your organization. Now in Evolve, you get expert-backed solutions for cultivating a happier and healthier workplace. And this includes options for real-time and continuous measurement, interactive workshops, theme-specific interventions such as group mental health coaching, mental health first aider coaching, and a personalized dashboard, mental well-being dashboard for your employees and managers. Now, if you want to see us in the wild, right from our case studies.
1 minute left.
Great, thank you. From our case studies, The one that I focus on, these are 3 engagements with Fortune 500 companies. One, launching their ERG programs and showing how you can do measurement using our platform of just a workshop. The second is CVS Health, which was Diverse Supplier Connect, where we use our baseline module that we have to analyze the mental health and well-being of all of their diverse suppliers. We then responded and created a digital toolkit using all of CVS Health existing resources. And that program now is going on into, we've launched until 2030. So then for the impact for you, what you can see is help your employees lead to a healthier, happy, healthier working relationship. Happy employees, 45% more productive, 180% more energetic. And something that's not on there is 66% lower sickness absence rate. So thank you for your time. And if you would like to learn more about the power of MH3, either scan this QR code or email me at rico@mh3.co for a free demo. Thank you.
That was awesome, Rico. Thank you so much for that.
Welcome. Thank you.
And I will pass it over to our judges to start on feedback. Jill, would you like to go first?
Hey, Rico, that was excellent. I have nothing to say. No, I'm just kidding. You did a really good job. That's a lot of good information.
I like feedback.
Well,
Go ahead.
And mental health, I love. I definitely like your product and service. What I want to get a clearer view of is, are you working directly with an EAP group, like the EAP? Are you working with HR? Who are you internally working with?
And you know, when I say human resource leaders who we target, right, that can be DEI, it can be people doing employee assistance programs, but actually with EAPs, we work in concert together. So when we do a workshop, I'll bring their EAP manager either before, after, sometimes both. And what we'll do is we'll showcase their services and talk about, because we want to increase utilization of EAPs, right? Like, we're not trying to say, no, you don't need it. We're just trying to teach corporations skills that, hey, if you're not using an EAP program, right, at least you have the education to help foster.
Okay. And then one of the first things that you do is you come in and do an audit. Is that through an employee survey, or I'm talking employee, but because for CVS, you actually did a project based on the suppliers.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
we do.
That was different than what I was thinking,
Yeah, we do internal and external. It just depends on the need. So usually it's focused on employees. But to be honest, what happened is we were working with CVS Supplier Diversity, and we did workshops with them to launch our relationship in 2022. And it was with WeBank. We did a workshop, and we did a workshop with NGLCC. And we did measurement before and after.
Okay.
Now, we came the next year, let's do workshop. We're ready to do workshops, right? They were like, we're CVS Health Supplier Diversity. We don't have funds, blah, blah. So we were like, let's do a complimentary project of using our survey platform. We usually do it for employees, but let's do it for your diverse suppliers.
Well, I love that. We're a membership organization.
Yes.
So we have members and we have employees. So I could see how you could work for both. But when you said the supply, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
But I love that. I love like what your product is. You articulated it well, and thank you.
Thanks. Do you know Shani Hostin at all?
Yeah. We've met before, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I think so.
I know Shani. Yes, very well.
She used to be a client of mine. When we were at Pfizer, we were regional marketing together. So if you see her, please.
Okay.
Hello, I love her so much. So.
Okay. I will.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much, Jill. I'm going to pass it to Ernie.
Hi, Rico. Yeah, I've met you before too. I had a matchmaker with Zach at the NGLCC conference last year, and then I met you at the Rocky game, the event at the Rocky Stadium, just briefly.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with your offerings, and great job in your presentation. I do think it's important, as Jill brought up, is that you do kind of mention, and you mentioned, and I remember asking Zach the question too. Do you work with the EAP system or an EAP group? Because that's usually what I would send somebody to if I was looking at your product. If we met just on a matchmaking session, or if we met at a conference and, you know, I got your card from a booth trying to connect you with that. I would kind of give a little broad overview that it's not only that, it's with other aspects within the corporation. I liked your case study with CVS, and I would actually like a follow-up with that. You know, Kaiser's a pretty big organization. We have 310,000 employees. We operate in eight different markets throughout the U.S. and but we also do a lot for our diverse supplier community. And you know, something like you mentioned there might be something that we would be interested in, and that would be something that could get your foot in the door for further projects. We're always looking to try and increase, you know, whether it be through like trainings that we sponsor or, you know, something like this. So I can put my email address for both Keely and yourself in the chat, or whomever else we have, but Zach should have my contact information too. I'd like to get a follow-up from you.
Oh, I love that. No, I would too. Zach, actually, when Keely was getting questions, he came down. That is, sorry, Zach, he's watching, so. And because before he even met you, Kaiser, I grew up as a Kaiser patient.
Yeah, he mentioned that story.
Okay, I was hoping he did. I was like, if you meet with him, please tell him Kaiser was my whole life. No, but that would be great, and I think that's actually how we're trying to position it. Is looking right is, if you start with a healthy supply chain, right, of being out there, 50% of people are 50% of businesses are entrepreneurs, right? And so getting them healthy and like talking even ARP members, right? Looking external, internal, we're really, the reason why we do both is monsters create monsters, right? If I'm not getting my stuff together and I'm a buyer, right, and I'm working with this diverse supplier, I probably will maybe have a poor experience, and that's not going to help that person. And so that's where we can look at this in a real-time and continuous way. So thank you for that. And we'll definitely be reaching out.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ernie. And I'll pass it to Deborah.
Well, first of all, Rico, congratulations on getting that CVS contract extended through 2030. I mean, that's huge. And it shows how you proved your value. You came in, said, give us a chance. You delivered. And then, you know, again, that I got goosebumps. So congratulations. And I think the other thing that struck me right at the beginning of your conversation, and you said it very casually, you took it for granted, this is part of what you do. This stood out in my ears. You said that you have diverse mental health professionals. Now, this is extremely important because so many of my coworkers, my friends, my relatives, when they enter into a lot of the corporate EAP programs and things like that, do not find individuals that they can necessarily relate to that look like them or that think like them. So you might want to even bring that up and emphasize it a little bit more, because I think that's a differentiator. You know, if you can say of our 50 professionals, we have, you know, 42% or, you know, 42 out of 50, you know, I identify as diverse individuals, or however, I mean, you would say it better than me, but that's great because
we
was strong.
We have a slide for the appendix for that, where we really, and it has the pictures of everyone, and it talks about their men, women, right, BIPOC, people with disabilities, but it also says their expertise goes from psychology, nutrition to wellness and more. So that, thank you. That's always helpful, because always, you know, when you're trying to tell the story, at least to get people in the hook, you're like, which slide do you do it for? So
well,
thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know is that I would bring the slide up. I think, you know, the slide is good in the appendix, but I do think, you know, because like I say, you just took it for granted. This is just who we are. But to my ears, having heard this feedback from so many people that are important to me, it definitely stood out. One question I had, though, and this is just, we live in, I mean, let's be honest, we live in a state where there's a lot of suspicion, there's a lot of paranoia, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. And so the minute I hear, you know, that we're doing like mental health surveys and things, I feel as though a lot of corporate employees do not feel that they can be honest or forthcoming. And so how do you address that? And I know you don't have time to give us the whole secret sauce, but just
Oh, no, I actually, it's a pretty easy thing, and it actually deals with sustainability, right? So, actually, to that point, what we looked at in building this was, do we buy our own, right? Build, or do we borrow, right, and build on someone else's? And we decided to build on, and it's a leading employee engagement platform in Europe. And because it's based out of the Netherlands, everything is done anonymously. It takes 15 seconds. The interface, like we get one of the typical questions we ask is, how do you feel at work today? Because you answer in relation to these different science of moods. And that it has optional, hey, do you want to explain why you selected enthusiastic? Every event we do, I swear, people put, I never do that for open-ended surveys, but this one does just because of the way the interface has been developed, right? And so the reason why I said sustainability is, let's leverage technology that's working rather than bringing into the States something, again, that just causes an issue, right? Where, oh, my anonymity is not taken. This will seamlessly integrate into your Microsoft Teams, into your HR platforms. So it allows us to let the software do what it does, and then allow our experts to truly focus on this data and creating transformation in a workplace. So that's how we do it. And we have people test it too, to see how easy it is. Most of the time in a demo, we do that. But that's a little bit of the secret sauce.
Well, and a good response, because definitely the EU takes much better care of employee privacy, obviously, than we do in the States. So I guess my final thing would be, and I'm sure you've thought of this, and again, it's just a question of how much time do you have, but um, our employee resource group, which we actually have Berg's business employee resource groups, capable with a K, is actually leading the way in a lot of mental health trainings and things. And so I'm sure that that's true within other corporations as well. Is that's one thing we talked about with Keeley, but not necessarily with you, is the fact that employee resource groups could be an avenue in to corporations for you as well.
Yeah, and for Peapod Digital Labs, that's what we did with Peapod Digital Labs. Actually, our first engagement, we launched their 8 to 10 inclusion groups, because they were really not pandemic, and then George Floyd, and they were like, wait, we don't even have this. So we launched them and did measurement, and went from 0% of employees joining an employee resource group to 40% within 6 months. And it's just because you could see data, right? You can track it. You can have executives now seeing it. So I think that is, because employee resource groups, the main thing is metrics, right? I did Pride, not just because it was a nice to do, but executives, look what we did. Look at the transformation. And that's what I like to see with employee resource groups, at least because when I was always in the Pride, I was an executive and always in the Pride groups and being like, I love doing this and it feels good, but I'm always getting pushback. You can only do it in June. And I'm like, okay. But so yeah, thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deborah. Enrico, do you have any other questions for our judges?
Sure. Yeah, for judges, I think I loved what I'm going to borrow the question, Keely. Sorry, Keely. I know I could be more original sometimes, but I guess I'm not going to be today. For us to show up, a lot of the times when we start, and this is what I do, I always start with supplier diversity. It's probably why we've seen each other a lot too. As I start with supplier diversity, it's like a coffee, an introduction, right? And from the deck that you saw today, I know I heard the experts, right, being able to emphasize on that. Are there things from supplier diversity, other things you would need in here? Because that customized deck approach, Ernie, that's definitely where I always try to go on. And so from you, your opinion on, are there additions you would add for you as being a supplier diversity person?
And I will preface this by saying, I've been in my supplier diversity role for a little over 2 years now. Prior to that, I was in sourcing and procurement for 18 years. So I have 2 different hats that I can wear. And in a lot of those areas, when I worked with a specific category, most of my internal clients thought of me as subject matter experts in those categories, because I really got to know them. I would say for what you're doing, it was pretty good. Obviously, depending on what you're going to, but the time allotment that you're going to have, you could expand upon some of those areas. You did mention you had some things in the appendixes, maybe bring those out if you have a longer time frame to present to. And but I think honestly, when the case study that you presented with the supplier diversity companies that with CVS, that's a perfect way to get somebody from the supplier diversity group excited about your product and service.
Great, thanks. I was hoping. You never know. Thank you for that.
I would just like to say for everyone on the call, when you're speaking with a supplier diversity person, remember, there's like no degree in supplier diversity. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different experiences. And so we're all going to have different levels of interest or prior knowledge, or even how our companies work. Some people are brand new in the role. So, and also consider us to be like the jack of all trades and the master of none. So we're speaking to you, and then the next company we speak with could be a trucking company. And so we know a little bit about a lot of things. So what we need from you in general, like for the first, the elevator pitch or at a booth or something like that, is really enough information that we can take back and be your advocate internally. I met a great supplier. Here's the deck they gave me. I really think that, this company is high potential. So we need to have enough information to represent you as you want to be represented.
Perfect.
I would say, I thought the deck was excellent, and I would actually send the deck to my BU. So the deck, the part of the deck that is most pertinent though, is the case studies.
Yeah.
Because they just want to know, can you meet their exact need? So that would be the only piece that I would request, once we figure out, okay, what business units I'm gonna target. If we're going to do ERGs, I need a whole slide, just that, flesh that out on a slide. You know what I mean? If I want to do suppliers, flesh that out on one. But other than that, I thought it was the QR code, everything. No, that's a deck that you explain in the deck with detail what your product and service is. And so it was but I've gotten decks where there's no case study and we've had to say, can you, so the fact that you had 3 was great, so.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. This is very helpful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rico. That was an amazing presentation, and I hope that the feedback was helpful.
Oh, yeah. I just have one question, Deborah. Deborah, do you know Braxton?
I do.
Okay. So, NGLCC last year, him and I did CVS Executive Learning Series program together in
Okay.
And so you know how he was on Shark Tank, everything. He credits you with like a lot of his success. And you were talking to him when I was in NGLCC and we were at the convention, and like I didn't want to interrupt you guys, and then I got pulled away, so I never got to meet you. But I was like, "Are you?" I'm pretty sure. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. For those of you on the call again, in GLCC, we consider ourselves to be an extended family, and we grow relationships through the years. We have family reunions once, now twice. I mean, we're segueing into Unity Week and extending the family reunion spirit, but I think you'll find that everyone who attends is supportive. We're all there for the same reason. Don't hesitate to ask people questions or for advice, because we're all there for the same reason. So, but thank you, Rico. You warmed my frozen Grinch heart.
I love that.
That makes me so happy to hear. Thank you for sharing that, Deborah and Rico, that story. Braxton is definitely one of our, champions. One of our success stories. There have been a ton, but, having folks on Shark Tank, that's exciting. Yeah. So with that was our final presentation. Thank you again, Rico. I'm wondering if our judges have any closing thoughts that they'd like to share with everyone on the line, with our presenters today. If there's any closing thoughts from you all.
I think from my perspective, one thing that I didn't add, because I know that this was already kind of targeted already, is or it wasn't targeted specifically towards an individual company, But along with my advice to tailor your presentation to the group within an organization that you're presenting to, also really get to know the organization. There's been several times when I've had presentations that are the one they use for everybody. It's not tailored towards that company. There's no relevancy to what that company does, and they may not even know, the every area that company operates in. So know the company, tailor your presentation, and just go forward, shine with confidence. This is your business, make it work.
I would like to applaud both of you for participating in the sip and pitch. I mean, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback for an entrepreneur, and I think you guys both presented yourselves well, with your product and service clearly, and I wish you both, the best success.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And I think I would just, build a bit, obviously we have a big conference coming up. You can't boil the ocean. You can't go to a conference and meet with everyone. You really have to plan. If you're going to be successful, in my opinion, plan in advance, kind of target who your most preferred potential customers would be. Again, tailor your speech and your materials towards them so that you have some familiarity. I moved out of automotive into food, and I had a number of suppliers come up to me and say, well, now that you're in food, can you help us break into this industry? And I had to say, well, there's a whole lot of things that are going on in this industry that are different from automotive, and you're going to have to strategically plan to align. So the more homework you can do in advance, the more customized your conversation is. It will also save you time because you won't have to do that generic conversation. You'll be able to sit down like at a matchmaker or a one-on-one or over coffee and get right to the heart of the matter rather than spending time on a lot of the fluff or the less important 101 aspects, if that makes sense. But you both did such great jobs. I think, you're ahead of your competition because you're here. And we have a lot of supplier diversity people on the call. So I think, they're again taking advantage of some of the other supplier diversity people that are here and asking them for additional insights too. We have all different industries represented today. So that's success for NGLCC also.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, especially the bit about preparing for in-person events like conferences. I think that's great. And on that note too, following this, we're going to do some rounds of speed networking. So you all will get to chat with folks on the line. But I just wanted to say thank you again to all of our judges. You all provided such invaluable feedback, and everyone on the line is going to benefit from your sharing and volunteering your time. So thank you. So next up, for folks who would like to take part, this is our community and conversation portion of the event where all of our audience members, judges, presenters, NGLCC team members, whoever would like to take part can participate in our speed networking round. So you're going to have a few minutes. If we could go to the next slide, please. And I'll give a little overview. So you'll give your name, pronouns, your company, a quick description of what you do, and a fun fact about yourselves. I'm going to place everyone in breakout rooms. And if you would like to not participate, totally fine. We're going to end the recording here. Let me end.